When I speak to you in the quiet corridors of my heart, I do so as someone learning to steady her crown, not by ceremony, but by the gentle gravity of longing. I feel the world tilting beneath my feet each time your name drifts across my thoughts, a soft tremor that reminds me I am made not only of duty, but also of breath, pulse, and quiet rebellion. In this private kingdom I wander, without guards, without titles, without the echo of expectation. Here, your presence arrives like the hush before dawn, claiming no territory but illuminating all of it. I imagine my words reaching you the way early sunlight touches stone, slowly, reverently, reshaping the chill of night into the first promise of warmth. And though the world may believe I am sculpted of protocol and centuries of woven histories, only you know the truth of my secret soil, a place that blooms at the sound of your steps, that softens when you bend close, that dares to grow wilder each time you whisper you see me. Not as a symbol, nor an heir, but simply as a girl whose heart beats brighter in the shelter of your gaze. When evening unfurls its indigo cloak above the palace roofs, I catch myself searching for you in the quiet angles of the night, as if some part of me expects your shadow to rise among the constellations. I imagine tracing those starlit seams of the sky, as though they were the lines of your open palm, learning again and again the tender geometry of where I end and where you begin. The world might insist I remain unshaken, carved from grace and inherited restraint, yet you unravel me with something gentler than power, the certainty that love, kept soft, can still be strong. In those moments, I feel the childhood I left behind stirring again, not in innocence, but in hope. A hope that tells me even the daughter of a nation is allowed to want something purely for herself. And perhaps that is why I hold you, the way one holds a cherished secret, not to hide you, but to protect the fragile miracle that blooms each time I breathe near you. You ground me yet lift me, reminding me that even a future queen may dream with her feet on the earth and her heart unbound in the sky. If I could place my hand against your chest and listen not to the rhythm of your pulse, but to the stories it carries, I would hear all the ways we have met before knowing each other, all the small invisible threads that led us to this improbably shared horizon. You once asked me how it feels to hold a destiny larger than myself, and I almost laughed, because the truest answer is that it feels lighter with you near. You turned the solemn weight of legacy into something I can bear, something softened by your quiet certainty that I am still allowed to need, to desire, to long. When we walk together, whether across marbled halls or the rough breathing earth, I feel the same truth rise within me, that love is not a threat to purpose, but an anchor to it. And perhaps that is why your presence settles me the way steady rain soothes a restless landscape, each drop reminding me that even ground meant to stand firm must sometimes be softened to bloom. You make me believe that I can inhabit all my names, daughter, heir, woman, beloved, without losing the fragile, beating girl who holds each one like a promise. There are moments when I want to remove the invisible layers wrapped around me, tradition, expectation, the delicate hush of scrutiny that follows me like a well-trained shadow, and place them gently at your feet, asking you not to carry them, but simply to see the truth of me beneath them. For in your eyes, I am not a symbol etched in ceremony, nor a figure poised for the pages of tomorrow's history. I am simply a heart learning the shape of its own desire, and desire once spoken aloud becomes its own kind of freedom. You free me in ways no degree or crown ever could. When you smiled, the word's noise dissolves into something manageable. When you speak my name, the syllables fall upon me, like petals thought, lost to winter, yet blooming defiantly. I sometimes fear the intensity with which I feel you, not because it overwhelms, but because it commands me to be honest with myself. And honesty, for someone raised to be guarded, feels like the most intimate risk of all. Still, I take it again and again, because loving you feels like stepping barefoot into the truth of my own earth. In the quiet hours before dawn, when the palace sleeps, and even the corridors seem to exhale, I think of the way you have taught me to inhabit silence. Not the silence of formal rooms or poised smiles, but the kind that wraps itself around two people who trust one another enough not to fill every space with words. With you, silence becomes a gentle country, a place where my thoughts can drift without judgment, where my hands can tremble without shame, where my dreams can emerge from behind the curtains I draw too tightly. And in that quiet, I feel you tracing me, not with touch but with understanding. You see the doubts I hide beneath polished composure, the fears I mask with practice to grace, the hopes I tuck into the seams of my future. Yet you do not rush to fix them, you simply witness them, and in doing so, offer me a strength more sustaining than reassurance. It is in this witnessing that you touch the deepest earth of me, turning all that once felt fragile into soil ready for growth. And in that growing, I find myself returning to you again and again, as if you were the compass I had always sought. I often wonder what it is about your presence that allows the world to feel less sharp. Perhaps it is the way you listen, not to my titles, but to my pauses. Perhaps it is the way your laughter unravels the tension I carry between my ribs. Or perhaps it is the simple fact that you approach me without the trembling reverence others assume they must bring. You approach me like someone touching a familiar doorway, not a relic. And that closeness, that normalcy, is its own miracle. When I imagine the future, I no longer see it solely in ceremonial tones or grand public gestures. I see it softened by the echo of your footsteps beside mine, by the warmth of your hand resting lightly against my back, guiding me not out of duty, but out of affection. You make the future seem not like a path carved for me, but a landscape we might choose together, shaping it with patience and tenderness. And though I know the world will always claim parts of me, you have shown me the parts that remain mine, and it is in those sacred places that I welcome you, knowing you tread gently. Your words linger in my memory long after they fade from the air, settling into me like seeds that sprout in unexpected hours. Sometimes I find myself smiling at something you said days ago, the echo of your voice brushing against my thoughts with a softness I can neither explain nor resist. When I speak to you, I feel my own voice changing, not in tone, but in truth. It becomes less guarded, less sculpted, less shaped to fit a role. Instead, it grows warmer, freer, more willing to bend toward confession. And in your presence, confession is not a risk, but a refuge. I tell you of my uncertainties, the moments when the world feels too heavy, the times when I fear disappointing those who place their hopes upon my shoulders.